So we have Yao on Facebook that says, "Hi, I am from South Korea and I come to NZ soon. I study anthropology and I really want to see best Maori culture. Can you help me tell what is the best tools for this? This is the main purpose of my travel to NZ, so I will do many culture tours, so you can suggest many. Thank you from Korea." Well, you're welcome from New Zealand, and here you go. There is actually quite a lot of ways to experience the Maori cultures, and actually one of the most popular articles on our website is the 10 best places to experience the Maori cultures in New Zealand. And so we'll give you kind of like the top like 6 or 7, and we'll tell you what we think of them, and that should help you get an understanding both from like the touristic kind of side as well as the cultural kind of side of the Maori culture. And I guess if you're studying anthropology, you probably come here to do a bit of research. So we also go through some of them which are really more personal, which is quite cool. All right. So the first place that you can go to experience Maori culture is Rotorua.
Yeah, so Rotorua is sort of known as the cultural hub of New Zealand. In terms of tourist attractions, many of the tourist attractions are surrounding the Maori culture. So you can go and do sort of night tours where you go into sort of mock-ups of traditional Maori villages. I'm thinking of Tamaki Maori village and Mitai Maori village, for instance. And it sort of begins with a traditional welcoming ceremony. So you can learn a little bit more about what that is and experience it for yourself. And then you go into, a mock-up Maori village and learn little snippets of the traditional parts of the Maori culture before going and seeing some more sort of cultural performances, because sort of singing and dancing is a part of the Maori culture, and it's known as kapahaka. So you get to see some kapahaka performances and then sort of end the evening with a hangi, which is a traditional style of food, which is cooked in an underground oven. So that's sort of what the normal sort of night tour in the Maori village in Rotorua consist of. Otherwise, there are day tour versions of this where you'll see a cultural performance at, say, Te Puia or the Waimarama thermal village, where they do some.
So you see wait in the tour to get the right pronunciation.
Yeah. So yeah, you can see there's definitely loads of opportunities to see the sort of the singing and dancing side of the Maori culture as well. But yeah, loads of different opportunities in Rotorua.
And if you're not sure about what she just said right now, make sure you go to the article that I'm going to link in the description below, so you actually are able to, see the whole word written and even like link to it straight away. But the second place where it's really awesome to experience the Maori culture is on the Bay of Islands. So that's north of Auckland. So it's basically kind of like the top of New Zealand. And in there is the Waitangi Treaty ground. So the Waitangi Treaty was the treaty which was made between the English crown and the Maoris that were living here when the English arrived here. Now there is obviously a lot of contention around there because, well, the Maori got the very short end of the stick, and this tells the whole story there. There is a really big museum that explains everything, show the different translations, show what happened and all those kind of things. So it's absolutely a fascinating place to visit. And if you want to understand, I don't think it's just the Maori culture, but I think it's basically the influence of a foreign culture when encountering or trying to, create basically legal agreements with a different civilization. It's a very interesting place to visit. So we thought we'd put this one on the list because of your specific requests.
Yeah, another one I would definitely want to mention is Hokianga, or the Hokianga Harbour. And this is in the Northland region of New Zealand. And it's said in the Maori culture that this is where the first Maori explorer actually landed in New Zealand. So it is a very significant place to the Maori. And you can experience the culture on various different tours there. For example, there's a tour there called the Waipua Footprints, which takes you into a kauri forest, and kauri are the largest types of trees in New Zealand, where you get to see basically the largest tree in New Zealand, which is Tane Mahuta. It's a really awesome tour with lots of like cultural stories surrounding the area, and even if you go on any of the walks in the area, there's lots of interpretation panels to read where you can learn more about the history of the Maoris first arriving in New Zealand. So that's another really awesome place to go to.
All right, so the next one will be Wellington. So in Wellington, we talked about it all the time. There is the beautiful Te Papa Museum, which is the National Museum of New Zealand. Wellington being the capital of New Zealand, the National Museum of New Zealand is there. And there are multiple exhibitions showcasing the Polynesian roots of the Maori cultures, as well as the Maori culture itself. There is really a lot to learn there, right in front of all those artifacts, the little interpretation kind of cards of each of the items are really like super insightful. This is basically, I think, the most we learned about the Maori culture, kind of fact-wise, ever. I mean, that was absolutely crazy. So yeah, so we've been to this museum multiple times, and we genuinely love it. So I think it's definitely worth going there. And that's one of them. Next, I think is in Waimarama.
Yeah, Waimarama. So this is a really small beach town in the Hawke's Bay region, maybe about an hour away from Napier. And this is definitely an off the beaten track place to go to learn about the Maori culture, but it's definitely worth it because over there is a really awesome tour called the Waimarama Maori Tours, and we actually did this one ourselves, which we'll link to the video in the description below. But basically, you just hang out with a Maori guy for the day, and he tells you like all about the history of his ancestors arriving in Waimarama, and takes you to a really awesome past site. And a past site is where a Maori village once stood. Usually it's on a hill somewhere, and there's evidence of terraces where they used to live, and it used to be like a fortified area. So there's really a lot of history to unpack on this tour. And then even at the end of the tour, because it is such a personal tour, they take you back, like the guy takes you back to his home, shows you all these amazing portraits of his ancestors and some really awesome like Maori artifacts that have been passed on through the family. So it's just a really it's a really authentic tour. So if you are looking for a real authentic Maori experience in New Zealand, then definitely head to Waimarama.
Yeah. All right, so those are kind of the eclectic ways to experience the Maori culture, but there's two other kind of ways to experience the culture, which is slightly bit different. So first up is greenstone carving. So you know that, I mean, you guys probably know that carving is a massive part of the Maori culture, and the other one is tattooing. So for carving, Hokianga is an amazing place. So it's on the west coast of the South Island, where you can actually carve your own greenstone pendant, or you can see master carvers at work. And it's such a vibrant and living part of the Maori culture. We think it's definitely worth doing. And tattooing is also a big part of the Maori culture. You're probably not going to want to get a tattoo for yourself, or you're really dedicated to your studies. But there is many tattoo shops all around. And same thing, if you check out the article below, we actually talk about a few places. And even there's a tattoo festival in New Zealand that runs every year. I can't remember when and when.
Taranaki area.
In Taranaki, yeah. So that may be worth it for you to time your visit with that. Anyway, so that was our take on basically some of the best places to experience the Maori culture in New Zealand. We obviously did miss quite a lot, but there is a lot on the article, which is in the description below. And if you find that useful, like and subscribe. That little like button right here, that does help us a lot.